Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove with your hosts, Scott Simpson and Jamie Calandro, with your special guest, Jordan Vanek. Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove. I am your host, Scott Simpson. Excited to be here. It has been a long day. I'm not going to lie to you. I just got done hitting 18 holes of very terrible golf. Not good at all. So I'm a little tired. I know it's a golf whine. I know no one wants to hear that to start a show. Jamie, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you. You look like you're free from being in the clutches of students. You're not teaching right now, right?
I'm not. It's like a big weight, although not the students. The students are good. It's the other stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the summer and, building up the fantasy aspect of everything. Lots and lots more time to work on DFS and to work on our podcast and the fantasy site. And I mentioned DFS, and I'm super excited about our guest because he is a DFS head like I am.
Oh, man, he's one of my favorite DFS people, and I've just met him in the last year, and I'm so excited to have Mr. Jordan Vanek, Jordan Vanek DFS on Twitter. If you don't know about Jordan, you're going to know about Jordan because he is here to stay. He's a writer for Grid Iron Rating. He's a DFS analyst for Rum Boys. He works with myself and Bo McBigtime on Chalk Block. He is our math magician. And let me give you some of his return on investments, his ROI in DFS. So 2018, 70%. 2019, 200%. 2020, 754%. 2021, there's a question mark. I got to tell you, I think it's going to be in the thousands this year. Jordan, welcome, brother. How you doing, sir?
I am doing good. I realize with that the 2020 number is a little off because it's technically the $500 is what I deposited, and I was able to take down the 2 GPP. So I think it's missing a 0, but it's okay. That's still no for me. I think I have that on the profile. I realized I was like, wait, that is not how you do it.
It's even bigger, right? His money is multiplying, and that's exactly what you want to do when you're in DFS. Jamie is a DFS grinder. So you mentioned it earlier. Jamie, tell people, like, you do DFS football, but you're doing DFS right now.
I am. I'm losing at baseball for the third straight night. Yeah, I'm a cash game player. You'll never see that kind of a rate of income from me, but it's the grind all year that kind of pays the bills for me. So I'm starting to kind of switch over a little bit more GPP in the MLB season, but come NFL, I'll be kind of right back to my ways with 90% double ups and head to heads, and then throw a few in those large entry things.
Yeah, well, the cool part about Jordan is that he does have his GPP magic, but it can. If you look at what he's been able to do, he really understands the whole process of picking the players that you're going to get the most return on your investment on each week and nailing those. So I'm excited to kind of hear his process tonight, kind of get him to kind of reveal a little bit of his secrets, which you always want to get the smart people to share their secrets with you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in. We're going to put Jordan on the Hotbox Gourmet Small Batch Hot Seat. We do it every single day or every single time we have our guest on. This part of the segment is brought to you by Bo McBigtime's Hotbox Small Batch Gourmet Hot Sauce, my favorite of all time. I actually just gave a bottle of this to Denny Carter today. We were golfing, and he's really excited to try this as well. And also, please do make sure you get your hat from Viridian Global. I'm wearing, I don't know if you guys are wearing Viridian Global right now, but I'm wearing my Rage Against the ADP from Scott Fish for the Scott Fish Bowl. This is definitely brought to you by Viridian Global. So please do go over and patron them. They've got a lot of great content. And so does Bo McBigtime over there at BigTimeFlavorCo.com. So here's how the Hotbox influences the hot seat. Jordan, you are going to get a free one of these, by the way, if you don't have one already. I think you do. But
yeah, I do.
You're going to get another one of these sent to you by myself. I'm really excited. So here's how this is going to work. We have 5 questions for you, 5 kind of hard-hitting, putting you on the hot seat questions. And how you respond is up to you. And it's playful, but it's a little get to know you section. So you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, and that Hotbox is something that everybody needs to try. I put it on everything, honestly, at this point.
Oh yeah, it's pizza, it's wings, it's eggs, it's tacos. It's really anything but cereal. Actually, the way I do it is I put it in first, and then I put my cereal in. Shout out Cooter. So if you really want to know how to do it, you put in your hot sauce, then you throw your cereal in there. That's how us high tea guys do it. Anyway, let's get
Put
to
a little bit in your hair at the end of a tough day.
right. Just let it singe your scalp. That's how it works. Okay. So here's the first question that I have for you, and I'm going to come in with not a softball, but kind of a get to know you. You are a Florida man to most of us. You are our representative when we think of Florida, which is good because it's an upgrade on really anybody who lives in Florida. You are like twice you're like double Florida man, right? You're like exceeding it. You should be on the state flag, Jordan. Really, you're like bringing home the bacon for Florida. Here's the question: what was it like growing up and playing football in Florida with future NFL stars like Calvin Ridley and the like, his brother Riley Ridley? What was that like down there?
It was. I mean, growing up, you didn't realize it. Like you knew at the time, like they're better than pretty much all of us. Like when I was in fourth grade, that's when I first met them, and at Winston Park Elementary, which was right near my house. That's when we started playing at recess and stuff. But once high school hit and junior, senior year came around and they started really getting recruited, and in the same week, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and Will Muschamp visited our school. That's when I was like, okay. And Calvin went to the Oregon camp and a rivals camp, and there was a play where I forgot who was guarding him. One of the corners ended up getting drafted in the NFL. He beat him on a double move. And instead of catching the ball like this, he decided to like one-hand it like this, and it was just a highlight reel that was just playing throughout all of high school. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, this guy, he's the number one receiver in the country now. That's when it got surreal. And I mean, the 7-on-7 games on the weekends, like Lamar Jackson would come and play. Elijah Moore probably came and play. Like I don't even realize who was actually there because everybody's from the South. Like not everybody, but a lot of premier athletes in the NFL are from the South Florida area.
I love it. It's really cool that you got to kind of meet them growing up and be a part of that experience because you've shared things with me about Calvin Ridley when he plays the Panthers or when there's little things that that really do give you kind of an insight into how these players are going to perform. And so if you're not following Jordan, he's the quintessential double Florida man. Please follow him there at Jordan Vanek DFS. All right, Jamie, that wasn't too hard hitting. Let's see if you got a tougher one for him.
Well, just to add on to that too, I a while back, Jordan and I were talking on the Clubhouse app, which is that gone? Not a while anyway. And the purpose was to talk DFS on there and just kind of shoot some strategy things back and forth. And we wound up just talking about this for pretty much the entire hour. I'm trying to remember, Jordan, what was the thing you told me about? It was like Calvin Ridley is forever mad at one team for passing.
The Panthers. The Panthers picked DJ Moore ahead of him, and he looked at it as like number one high school receiver, went to Bama, won 2 national championships, led them pretty much every single year, and a kid from Maryland comes out of nowhere and gets drafted ahead of him. And like, granted, as a Panthers fan, I was upset, but where Calvin ended up was the best possible situation where Sherman said it best. I would rather go to the right fit than the higher pick. And Calvin got to go with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and that helped his career early on. Cam Newton and the Panthers would not have been a good situation for him.
No, and the other thing too is I make basically my fantasy living talking about how like narratives don't exist and stick to the math and everything, and that players don't hold grudges, or they do, but it doesn't elevate their performance, and it shakes me to hear it right from a player's mouth that when he plays the Panthers, he's putting that more in. So maybe I got to back off that a little bit. So
people are human. People are human. You know what I mean? Like you're motivated to do better when people slight you, or you don't, or you suck and you get trampled on. So.
It felt like for some players, I also feel like if they've grown up together, I feel like they always want to try to one-up each other in games, like receivers especially. Like Jarvis and Odell, I feel like if they were on opposing teams, they would try to one-up each other. And I remember that Dolphins Giants game years ago, and Odell and Jarvis went nuts that game. It was like a Monday night or a Thursday night, and like I think those narratives do exist, but you can't just like hammer it down. Like that's not that's not the thing. If these two players, one's a running back and the other's a D tackle, that doesn't flow.
Yeah. They're just gonna line up on opposite each other the whole game.
Yeah,
knock the other one over first. So. All right. So anyway, moving on. I mean, we are, you and I are big into the DFS thing. As far as DFS goes, I know I can tell you exactly the player that has won me the most money in my DFS career. I can do it for all the sports. Basketball, I hit 20,000 one night because of a game from DeMarcus Cousins and Rajon Rondo when they were going against each other in an overtime game. And then in football, Monday night performances back when the Monday night games were included on the main slate. Russell Wilson with a 5-touchdown game that elevated me up into the 5 figures. So for you, who's the player that has either won you the most money in your DFS career or in one night? Who's the guy? Who's the guy for you?
For college football, that was the biggest GPP I won. It was $90 into $55K. And it was Will Mallory, actually. Will Mallory was a backup tight end for the Hurricanes. Brevin Jordan was dealing with his injuries. Came in at 0.7% ownership and caught 2 touchdowns at the minimum price and allowed me the flexibility. And all those lineups had him. So he was the one who kind of gave me the leverage. What ended up taking me home, which is funny, is Wayne Tuilapola, I think his last name is. I don't know how to say it. It's very long. He's Hawaiian. Virginia running back. He had 11 carries for 40 yards and scored. And that difference right there allowed me to get that pushed me all my lineups up and allowed me. I think I won by like 12 points because of what he scored, because It was ugly. They were running a 3-quarterback offense where he wasn't getting carries, and he scored a 20-yard touchdown before the half, and it just kind of set sail from there for the rest of the slate.
I love hearing those stories because there's always, I feel like, a value that gets you over the top that allows you to get a few other players, and you have to hit that value. For me, it was Higbee, oh my gosh, my brain is I can see him in my eyes. The San Francisco 49 Jordan Reed and Tyler Higbee, just guys who you're not going to go, those are the guys that are going to get me the money, And so I think the cool part about Jordan is that it keeping an open mind and keeping a thought process about understanding how that team was going to work and how they needed to get the ball out and all that kind of stuff really put you in a position to be successful. So I love it. Okay, so speaking of college and your experience in college, you did rush a frat. I've heard there's some frat stories out there. So I just want you to describe your frat experience in 3 words. You do not need to explain the words until after the end, but give me your 3 words. Like my 3, college would be Terps, suck, and then fat. Something like that. Because I sucked. The Terps, they won the championship, and I was fat. Those are the 3 for me. College was I was 330 pounds. So bad time for the Empire for Scott. But what about you at the frat? What are the 3 words that sum it up for you?
I think the first thing is lessons. There go brotherhood, and then with the last one was chaos. There was a lot of chaos in some of the stories that I have that I don't mind sharing.
Share one chaos story that's allowed to be, statute of limitation stuff,
Oh, yeah. So pretty much we have one of our parties towards our spring semester. It's called ZB Tahiti, and it was downtown. And there was a player or a person in my fraternity who was underaged, and he drank and he left the event and then tried to come back. And they're like, hey, we let you in one time. We're not doing it again. And he refused to sign this paper, and the paper wasn't him getting underage drinking. It was just, hey, you're not allowed to come back. Just go home, like a trespass. Like if you come back again, we're going to arrest you on spot. And I, at the time, just got elected into our exec, and I was in charge because I was underage. I was like, hey, you make sure nothing goes wrong. I was like, okay. And I'm trying to explain to him, hey, just sign the freaking paper. And he refused to the point where he's like, see, look, I'm 22, and pulled out his fake ID that doesn't have his picture on it in front of the cop. he goes, the cop goes and arrests him, and then his one of his best friends was absolutely obliterated, and I had to deal with him being like, why aren't you going to go bail him out? Why aren't you going to do this? And I'm like, bro, he deserves it. He'll be fine. It's a night. You're just going to be thrown in the tank and then get out the next morning. He freaked out on me for the rest of the time. And it's one of those things that the next chapter we put his face up there for everybody to see. But he no, just that was the one mistake. I was like, bro, I didn't understand why he just didn't sign the paper. Like, it wasn't anything bad. And I was like, dude, sign the paper. We're going to get you. Or I had my car. I was like, I'm just going to drive you home. And he just refused. It wasn't even about leaving the party. It just literally, he didn't want to sign it. And the cop was like, you're not leaving until you sign it.
That doesn't sound like men at all. Stubborn, drunk, not listening. I mean, that's not
an outlier story.
Right? Yeah, Jamie. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, for me, I've never done any of those things. So, but I mean, I believe it. No, that's and here's a few things I've heard from you too. You are very responsible, and most of the time, I'm hearing the stories. You're like bailing someone out of jail. You're rescuing somebody. You're helping a friend. So it sounds like you were a force of good in your frat. And so I like to hear that, when I hear frat stories. So well done, good sir.
Yeah, no, that my one rule was you could call me at any time. If I went in, any time in the night, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever, if I am able to answer, I will go get you. The only thing is you don't have to pay me cash. We'll just go get food. We'll go get food and then we'll go home. You're paying for my food and that's about it. And I definitely got, I probably had about 30 to 40 of those types of calls during my time.
Oh, wow.
Of just 2 a.m., 3 a.m. being able to pick up people. And just, my dad and my uncle a long time ago drank 2 beers, drove, hit black ice, and flipped over. And he ended up killing his best friend. And that was one thing that my dad and the family has always made it no matter what, I don't care how much alcohol, if you drink, don't drive. We'll get you. Someone will get you.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I appreciate your brotherhood. That was your second word, was that brotherhood part actually being on display. And that's the cool part about a frat is that you're really there to be able to help people, to work with people, and to form that relationship where you're helping people out, keeping them, from being arrested and driving drunk is definitely a great thing. If some of the NFL players, by the way, Frank Clark, not with the drunken, but they need your services. They need Jordan to drive them around, with their Uzis and with everything else that's kind of going on. So
you'll get free food out of it.
You'll get weed out of it.
Yeah. So moving on here, Jordan. So it's funny we have you on this week because I saw a thing on, I guess it was Twitter, the other day that had Google Florida man, and then you put in your birthday and you see, I don't know, did you guys see this thing?
Yeah. Trust me, I know. I'm in Florida. This is a thing.
This was a new one on me. So I spent a good 15 minutes Googling everybody's birthday that I knew. Got some laughs. So being an actual Florida guy, why don't you tell us your craziest Florida moment that you've ever experienced in your life?
So a lot of this stuff is definitely more northern Florida or really south, like the bath salts incident where the dude was eating the guy's face. That was very south of me. But I mean, I don't have a crazy real experience to the, national level. But I think the crazy thing for me is just the amount of professional athletes that are here that you just don't realize. After the Super Bowl, before the pandemic, my birthday weekend, I go out and I'm at one of the wharf downtown, and the Bosa brothers just standing, no security, no nothing, just hanging out. And I make eye contact, and they immediately no, you're not taking a picture. We're not doing that. And I'm like, okay, because their face and the way that they are, I don't think it would have gone to. Especially for my 5'10" ass. And those people, they're absolutely jacked. The professional athletes are probably the crazy experience for me because most people are oh, this guy's my favorite play of the week. And I'm oh, I remember when he played for so-and-so. Alex Collins played for South Plantation. Why do I know that? I remember him in high school. He was really fucking good. Like people like this, it's crazy that just there's so many neighboring high schools that produce people, and that's the best I got.
No, I love that. The other day we were in the airport, my co-host for the Fantasy Millionaires and I, Mike Collins, and we saw a ginormous man behind us, just a huge man. And my friend said, I bet you that's an NFLer. So I went up to him, I said, hey, just a swole bro or an NFLer? And he said, yeah, NFLer. And it was Kevin Zeitler from the Ravens. And that dude, 6'4", 330, was just like muscles on top of muscles. He was so big. And he was just talking to another guy who he met about the Ravens and about the plays and about all this stuff. I was just so jealous that I had not sat next to him first and had bent his ear. So, yeah, those NFL athletes are crazy. I did get a picture of him, though, but not up close and not like in his face. And but very, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, you can tell, like you said, you knew it was an NFLer, like right off the bat. Like they're just built differently. Like I remember, when I lived on Long Island, this is a while back, and the store I was working at the time, former Jets offensive lineman DeBrickashaw Ferguson would come in there all the time. And my God, like, I don't remember his actual measurements, 6'6", 3 something, all muscle. Like it's a humbling experience, honestly, when they walk up to you, because they are just so huge and built to play professional football. So like I'm with you guys on that one.
No, it's very cool to be able to see them in real life. And, from my experience, they did Kevin Zeitler didn't, he pounded me. He was cool. He did not, I did say on the way out.
He's got that giant.
Yeah, he wasn't. I did say to Mike on the way out, I said something like, yeah, you shouldn't have tried to fight him, just as a joke. And Mike was like, oh my God, he's going to get me beat up by Kevin Zeitler. No, he wasn't going to beat you. So, okay. All right. So we've talked a little Florida. We talked a little frat, talked a little, DFS. Let's jump back into the DFS. Here's what I want to know for you. This is not a hot seat question, but just kind of a career aspiration question. What is your ultimate goal in DFS? Are you trying to win the Millie Maker? Are you trying to, work for Osimo? Are you trying to start your own, worldwide takeover? What's going on with Jordan and where do you kind of see yourself at the end in 10 years? You're sitting on your pile of money. How did you get your pile of money?
I think the ultimate goal is to, for me, I think it's definitely to take care of things in my own personal life where, I'm able to financially support myself kind of through it. I feel like I'm capable of doing it. The biggest goal that I have for myself this year is to come away with over $100,000 in profit. And the goal that's next for me is see what I can do content wise, because I want to see if my advice can win other people money, because last year at the end of the year, some of my friends started to do it. And I had a week where my friend had a $5 single entry and he put, or the highest score in my contest, which are the bigger entries, were about 203, and he dropped 221. Had he played that lineup in the big, the contest I was in, he would have dropped 100K or he just won 100K. And I'm like, dude, that's ridiculous. I want to see what I can turn on, return on investment for some of these people. And I want to help out where I can. I don't necessarily want to work for a specific person. I think there's a bunch of companies out there that are great, and the Millie Maker's fun. I just don't play it too much yet. I will play that. We'll play that more this year. Hopefully, it just depends on how I'm doing, because that contest isn't built for people to be profitable. It's built for the lottery ticket.
Yeah, no, totally. That's cool, man. Well, I'm really excited to see the work that you're doing now, the content that you're going to produce in the future. And, we were talking you up to Denny Carter today, Mike Collins and I, at the end of the golf course. I said, I got to go home. I got to do a show. I got Jordan Vanek coming on. He said, never heard of Jordan Vanek. I said, you will after this year, my friend. You will indeed. And so I bet Denny's here a little bit. He wants to know about you. And so I got to tell you, by the end of this year, the whole world's going to know about you in the DFS world if they don't already. This guy is the man. So thank you. You're off the hot seat. Hot seat is officially over.
Brought you very well.
Yeah, very well. Florida is very proud, and you didn't sully the state. You didn't, denigrate them in any way. They're still looking just as great as they always have. So Way to keep it up. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna throw it to Jamie. Jamie's actually gonna get into some fantasy football content because that's what we're here for too. We kind of lather you up with the good stuff, getting to know you, and then we hit you hard with the fantasy.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I'm excited for this one because we can talk DFS. I could do this all night, really. So, I mean, let's get a little background on you first. You're our guest. Talk to us about your DFS, your origins. When did you first start playing DFS? And what style of contest do you prefer to maximize your ROI?
So my first start was when I was 18, actually. I've been helping out my brothers when I was younger, but my first real start was 18. I was a freshman in college. The first contest I won, I look back, I didn't realize it because it's still it was so long ago and I didn't know the game yet. It was back when kickers were on FanDuel. It was a $2 lineup that I came in second place and won 4,100 out of 124,000 contestants. I didn't realize how crazy of a lottery ticket that was. It was the Panthers Bucks Thursday night or Monday night game, and then the Denver Broncos Chargers. It was a 2-game slate, and Cameron Artis-Payne and Jaquiz Rogers were my running backs. That was the 2 running backs. Those were the workhorse guys. The Derrick Henrys for me that week, I guess. And I ended up, on Monday night, I was in 4,000th place. I was like, oh, I'm winning $20. I'll $2. That's really cool. Thursday night I was in Orlando, so I was, I was going to Halloween Horror Nights, and I'm just, in line at Halloween Horror Nights. And I just looked down at my phone. I didn't watch anything of the game. Looked down, I saw the number. I was like, no, no way. And freaked out line, and that's how it all started for me. After that, it was a lot of bad decisions. Needed to definitely calm it down and learn, but I was 18 and not good with money yet. Right now, the style of contest I prefer are 3-entry maxes and single entries, unless you can max out the big boy contest and you're capable using a generator. I personally like hand-built lineups. Usually the flow of the lineup, it just feels better for me. I don't leave it up to the computer, but generators are profitable if you know how to use them. And I mean, this game's not easy, but for me, the best return I've always had was GPPs. I've never been a cash player. I usually don't play for the floor. I've always played in the mindset of like, this is going to be the Demarcus Robinson week. This is his week to catch the touchdown. Or Denzel Mims, or the different guys that have been able to play at the minimum price at 2% ownership that have gone and caught touchdowns. That's been the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, and you brought up such a good point in that too, just about bankroll. I mean that's everything with this game. Just making sure you manage it. You're talking about an 18-year-old guy seeing those glitzy numbers. That's honestly what those sites want. They want to suck you in and just milk you dry of everything you just won from them that one time if you can't keep it straight. So I mean that was a really good point. I've started to play a lot more of these single and three entries myself. I mean, I can't get off the cash mentality a lot. I like to follow the ownership and follow the floor on these plays, but mixing in those 2%, if you can do that consistently, you can really make a killing off some of these guys per week. So, I mean, I commend people that do solely that.
Yeah, it's impressive. What Jordan's been able to do has been really impressive because it's been just GPP focused. It's not those cash games where you can kind of build a little bit of that cushion. That's what I did last year. Both as cash is king. I didn't really play cash. I played GPP like with Jordan, and then Bo got me playing cash. And then I understand how cash is king because you can take $100 and do a double up and just got to beat half the field in that, and it's a little bit easier. But the big money, that's what we really want. We're chasing that carrot. It comes with those tournaments, like you said, where you've got $10, $15 put in on a single entry, and you can really exceed the field because you're kind of above or below certain players, and I love that. So that's cool. So here's a question though about all of this. When you're getting into your DFS process each week, how do you start it? So let's say it's a Tuesday or a Monday, whatever day it is. What day do you go? Okay, I want to look at the matchups, or I want to look at the pricing, or I want to look at where do you kind of start? Because there's a lot of places you can start each week.
So the very the first week's a lot different than any other weeks. We're going to be looking at that since the freaking moment that comes out, because that's just going to be fun. We're going to see all the rookies that are stupid underpriced, and we're going to all talk about it, whatever. But during the actual season, when we start getting things going, it depends on if I want to play Thursday night. If I don't really feel the need to play the Thursday night matchup, I don't start really diving into it until Friday night at the earliest. What I'll do is I news during the week changes and influences a ton of things, and I don't really like to get an early process, because then I'll be on it, and I don't I don't like to have that mentality going into it. So Friday night will be the first night, and I won't even really dive deep into it. I'll go to the data sources that I use and extract their data, put it into a spreadsheet, organize it, make it nice and pretty, just like, glance over it. See, like, oh, wow, these guys are this. And Saturday night is when it all kicks off for me, where the first thing I look for is Z-score. That's the metric that I personally use, and I think it's a big leverage point for a lot of my GPP stuff, because it tells me which position do I want to pay up for. Because there was a week last year where Derrick Henry scored 35 and wasn't optimal. He wasn't an optimal running back, and that's a great week. You probably could win with that. But in GPP, if I'm able to get DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, who scored 28, 29, and then I play the Devontae Adams that week, who's going up against the Eagles or someone, and he scores 35, and the next closest receiver scores 23, you're getting so much more leverage that way. And personally, that's the main thing I look at, and that's the uniqueness to I guess my philosophy, and that's where I always start.
So let me throw you a curveball there, or at least a follow-up to that, because you mentioned the Thursday thing, and basically for me, my builds are echo a lot of what you're saying, with the days, and when you start putting it together, and then Saturday is really when it starts to finalize. So this is a thing that I have found a positive and negative to, and I wonder where you stand on it. So I've found a lot of times that you can really get an edge on the field by playing the full Thursday through Monday, but fading the Thursday game, because a lot of people will gravitate to those players, just so they have something to watch almost, or because, this is the slate where I can play Thursday players, so I'm going to make sure I force a Thursday guy in, and, if it's a bad scoring, Rams 49ers from last year with a real low total or something like that, you can really gain an edge by just completely fading that game. But on the flip side, I find that I'm just not ready to build the Sunday, Monday lineup yet at that point. So it's kind of like I'm just throwing players in. So how do you approach something like that? If you are going to include the Thursday game?
I mean, Thursday night games are historically bad for fantasy. If your guy's playing on a Thursday and it's not the first game of the year, or they're not both coming off a bye week, it's not worth it. It's just there are definitely Thursday night games that score points, but it's usually predominant on two guys. It's never a full offensive showing where you can get away with like the Jets playing the Chiefs last year, and Kelsey, Hill, Robinson, and McCole Hardman all scored over 10, I believe, that week. It's just not going to happen. But I think the leverage is definitely being able to get people oh, I want to have this or I want to have that, because that logic is just gut. It's not even gut feeling. It's just, I don't want to be bored while watching this game, and I'm in this. I think the leverage would probably be more so to cash in that regard, because I feel if you're a cash game player and Derrick Henry's playing someone on Thursday night, and he's going to show a lot of ownership regardless. If he's going to be the guy, then that's awesome. That's probably the type of contest you want to play. But I would definitely throw a lineup together that I'm changing entirely on Sunday. I wouldn't put any real thought process into it. I would look at Thursday and be is there anybody that's even worth it? If there is, I might play them one or two, but I usually stay away from the Thursday to Monday, because it's just not as big of a grab, because it's not the popular, it's not the main portion of the slate, and it's not one day and it's over. Like, people hate waiting. I hate it. That's why best ball drafts. My best friend, who was in the comments earlier, he checked his FanDuel account after the season, let's start playing baseball. And he's like, all right, I got to go deposit. He had like $200 in it because he won best ball and forgot. He just didn't know. And it's like stuff like that. That's like, wait a minute, what just happened? So that's just my feeling. I mean, I again, even the I feel like the 4:25, 4 o'clock games, a lot of people like to play the 4 because it starts right away and it's the people there. Like, it's a weird feeling. I've known people who like it, like even in baseball too. There's guys that are like, oh, I want to pick the guys who are playing early or the late. Like, there's no leverage to it. It's just like what you're going with.
Time of start has no effect on anything of your lineup scores. We talk about that all the time. About I need that late hammer in the late games. You do not.
I know.
No. Well, I was talking to Danny today about it. Last year, at one point, I was winning the Millie Maker at the end of the first set of games because all my players had gone, and I had like 195 points, and I was top dog. And if I screen grabbed it, it said I won $1 million. People were like, oh! But then later, after the second set of games went, I won $27. So, I mean, that's the whole thing about it, is that really what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are maximizing your value for whatever time your players play. It doesn't matter what time they play. So I think that's the cool thing about your Z-score and about your spreadsheets and how you approach each week, is that you're really looking for that edge, that pricing that you can use to your advantage to build that squad that's going to give you the biggest bang for the buck, honestly, in the GPP world. So, very cool. All right, so here's a question I have, and I think I'm stealing Jamie's question. So, Jamie, maybe you can steal mine at the second question here. So, we're talking about the NFL season. It's far away. It's 90 days away or so. How do you prepare kind of for DFS? Do you prepare now? Are you kind of just not worrying about DFS, or are there things that DFS players can do to get ready, or is it more just once the season starts you can jump in?
For me, football is year round. I pay attention a ton. I can't get away from it. It's one thing. I'll get an idea and I want to go see the numbers. I actually, over at what was the SIS, I got the data for the percentage of plays teams played man or zone. I also pulled the data from them that about what coverages teams were running, and I was like, oh, I'm just super curious because like teams always pull from other teams' coaching trees. So like you go ahead and look at the 49ers, Robert Slay, Joe Woods went over to the Browns this past season. It's like, okay, did he run the same scheme? Identical, same defense. Different guys like this kind of are Bill Belichick and Brian Flores, same defense, same play calling. Just you look at these guys and they're doing the same things. You can kind of get an idea of what defenses you're going to see. And this offseason, I've been able to kind of building a process where I'm combining a few other resources that I've learned about, where reception perception with Matt Harmon, he breaks down the man percentiles and zone percentiles. And like I look back at last year because that's where he's grading it off of. And you see a guy like Deontay Johnson, who's much better against man coverage than Juju Smith-Schuster. Deontay Johnson against the Titans, who ran predominantly man-to-man, dropped 35, while Juju Smith-Schuster on 15 targets got 14 points. It's stuff like that I'm like, okay, I'm very curious because the Titans are going to be running the same defense. They're going to be rookie corners. And then you look at like, oh, maybe their corners were bad. Well, Malcolm Butler week 1 is on the Arizona Cardinals, and he has to go and guard Julio Jones or A.J. Brown. Good luck. Like, the Cardinals were historically bad against receivers last year. They're no different. I am all in on I already have the knowledge that, A.J. Brown and Julio are going to be very owned, and so is Tannehill, and it's upsetting. But at the same time, it's like, it's fun to already know these things before the season. I don't use it. It's tough because DFS is week to week. I don't care how many shares of Michael Carter you have. If Ty Johnson's starting over him, I'm not playing him. I'm not doing it. Rookie hype is the hardest thing to get away from in DFS because, last year, I'm the biggest Jonathan Taylor guy I wanted to play Jonathan Taylor. I did. I should have. The week 1 wasn't the week to play him. It was totally the week to just play against it and be like, well, Marlon Mack or Naeem Hines because they're all getting carries, and Naeem Hines scored like 24 and was 4,500.
He exploded in week 1. I remember that.
Well, what's crazy is that if you look at the points per game, I think that Jonathan Taylor through the first 10 weeks was getting like 11.9 points per game or something like that. And then from week 11 to 17, he's getting like 20, 23.9, 24 points per game. He's crushing it. And so the amount of touches he's getting is increasing. Of course, the amount of yards he's getting is increasing. So like for me, when I look at that data, it informs how I'm going to approach rookie running backs for sure in my builds this year. So I love that kind of stuff, Jordan. That's right down in my nerd alley. I'm sure that for Jamie as well. That's just you're talking my language, is what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. And we had Matt Harmon as a guest on too here, and he drops like serious knowledge on us with that kind of thing you're talking about too. So I mean, that's invaluable stuff that you're talking about, and that's really where you get the edge.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing, Chris, the end of the day, like the idea isn't follow Jordan because Jordan knows all. It's follow Scott, follow Jamie, it's follow Matt Harmon. Like there are multiple people doing really, really, really good work in this industry. And if you're able to combine it, you get a big edge because and I mean, I talked to my friends about DFS, and one of my best friends who went on a historic run one of the years, last year, he was like, hey, I know Josh Jacobs and Kareem Hunt are in the bad weather and they're chalk, but DeAndre Swift is getting low ownership and the coaches have praised him all week. I'm playing Swift. And I was like, I'm scared. I'm not fading it. I don't know what's going on yet. I didn't fade Josh Jacobs and Kareem Hunt in the big lineups. He played DeAndre Swift. He came away with $5,000 that weekend. And there's little things that I'm going to be wrong. I know I'm going to be wrong. And at the end of the day, I need to continue to pick up things from other people and work on my stuff as well as I do, and kind of, do all traits, jack of all trades almost. Pick up different things from different guys. And Chris, with Tua, he's going to be fun this year because I believe it's going to be one of those things where he's not boom bust, but he's going to be so underpriced, and it's going to happen. He's going to have weeks. Last year he had weeks where he scored over 20. Why wouldn't he this year?
So what do you think? Is it? I mean, it's so early, but I mean, are we stacking him with his receivers? Are we playing him naked, as they say? Just for the rushing upside. I mean, it's a weird concept with him as well.
Tua is about big plays, and there's players who can go and make big plays with the Miami Dolphins right now. Waddle and Will Fuller are capable. Waddle will not finish top 24 in receiving. He's not going to. But Waddle will probably put up more 25-point weeks than your Keenan Allen, because unless you're playing PPR. But my point is he won't have a high floor, but there's going to be a week where he's going up against the Jets, and the Jets corners are young, not super athletic, and he catches a slant and goes 60 yards. It's Jalen Waddle. When he played at Alabama, that's what he was. And Will Fuller is a phenomenal receiver at getting separation. Tua's biggest strength is throwing to people who are open. And I know that sounds obvious, but there are quarterbacks who like to just force stuff. And Fitzpatrick is a guy who forces stuff. That's why Mac Hollins and Devontae Parker are capable with him. Tua doesn't like forcing stuff in tight coverage because he doesn't want the 4-interception game. And I take that as a benefit than a negative. The only thing I'm scared of is this is a Patriots team mentality. They're winning football games. They don't care how or what. So I'm more so looking to stack Tua in weeks where, last week they were playing a team who was bad against the run. This team is bad against the pass. They're going to throw the ball more this week. So that's my opinion on Tua.
That's great. That's great for sure. So, I mean, if we're moving on here, I mean, you talked about some good stuff, and you gave some examples from last year. Especially, I remember that bad weather game very well because Hunt was the lock for me. Yeah. So, maybe overall, what are some things you learned from the 2020 DFS season, and how might you use that to your advantage in 2021?
So 2020 is a very tough year to put like a stamp on because of the COVID, and the weeks were just absolutely wild. There's a lot of things that happened where teams weren't practicing and then just playing football games. I remember the Titans had some crazy schedule. The Steelers were crazy stretches. So the thing that I kind of took away is like leverage in terms of salary is huge. And last year it was so clear. There was 3 tight ends who were worth it and nobody else. Like not a single tight end. I was playing Jordan Akins more than I was playing Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram. And those guys consistently drew ownership. They consistently like, wow, Evan Ingram's 4,500. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go play Jordan Akins for 2,500 and go turn David Montgomery into McCaffrey or Dalvin or whoever. And like, those were the differences. Don't focus on defense. Never. Don't care. I literally, half the time I'm making my lineup without even a defense in the place because I don't care. If it's like, oh, this lineup can only be played with a 2,700 defense, I will find it. I played the Jets defense probably 6 weeks last year. Benefited from it. Made money off of it because the difference, like a good defense of week is 12 points. A bad defensive week is like 3. That's a 9-point difference. It's a lot, but like really not compared to other positions. Well, running backs, you can't do that.
If it's like 2,200, the Jets were like 2,200 a lot of times. You get 7 points, you've almost quadded up there, and that is all you're looking to do in that position. It's not to suck any of those points away. It's just to kind of like just give you that little boost. So I think I love what you're saying, and I think there's to kind of circle back to a point that you made before, and that was listening to lots of different people in the process. I think that when you do that, it allows you to understand, okay, this is what I did with Higbee and Jordan Reed. Those were buy down options in week 2 that helped me win. It was not me going, oh my goodness, these are the best guys. I want to get them in. It was who's the cheapest, lowest priced player that I can add to this lineup that's going to allow me to get in these other studs. And that's what I did. I got in Justin Jefferson. I had in Calvin Ridley. I had all these players in that you needed to get in to win that week. And I had them. Because of Higbee and Jordan Reed and some shitty defense. That was, $2,000. I think between my flex and my defense, I think I spent like $7,000, which is insane because that's the price of Calvin Ridley. So I got Calvin Ridley or whoever it was who helped me get that because of those cheap options. So I think it's great, Jordan. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I will say, I 100% agree with you too. I played the Jets defense probably the most of any defense. I will say, though, that I do think what you're saying is a little bit more like DraftKings specific. I don't know, Jordan, what your exposure across the sites is. I do think there's a little bit more merit to the defense on FanDuel just because the pricing is so much less dynamic. And the fact that they max their defensive, like the prices of their defense is at 5,000. So it's so much easier to fit in that top defense over there. So, like I'm just thinking of this one time last year where the Steelers were like 4,700 or something like that at home against some garbage offense, and everyone was like trying to cram them in there, and like it's still I was playing the Jets at 2,500 more just because the defense is so fragile, but that 4,500 on DraftKings versus the 5,000 that they max them on FanDuel, I think is a big difference. Yeah, I pretty much do play only DraftKings. 90% of my lineups are DraftKings. I don't know about you guys, but
I am a DraftKings player. This past year, I was FanDuel previous years. I've definitely dabbled with both. I like PPR better. And the bonuses are cool. Like, the bonuses are fun, and when you're getting 101 yards, but not fun when you're a 98 and you're sitting there like, you mother. Like, there's things that are definitely heart-rend or take out your heart. But with the defenses, that's definitely more of a DraftKings thing. FanDuel definitely pricing is way different. It's not like I feel like when I'm building a FanDuel lineup, I look at my DraftKings lineup and I'm like, how the hell am I playing Denzel Mims and why? Why is Denzel Mims in my lineup? If I put Denzel Mims in my FanDuel lineup, I can get Mahomes, Dalvin, Derrick Henry, top defense, whatever. But no, I definitely agree to that point. It's not it's not as fun, I would say. But DraftKings is going to be where I play this year, where my knowledge and research, and like this year might not be the tight end year leverage, because one, tight ends are healthy again, like Kittle, and two, Kyle Pitts came in the NFL, and like, Bo, don't get too excited, relax. But Kyle Pitts, like, he's going to be so fun for DFS. And I've been listening to I try to listen to podcasts with coaches, because McVay and Pete Schrager had Arthur Smith on. Mm-hmm. And Sean McVay straight up told Arthur Smith, if he doesn't get Kyle Pitts to 1,600 yards, he's a bum. Because Sean McVay is like, he's absolutely awesome. Like, I was hearing Arthur Smith talk about football and the play calling and different things, and Sean McVay saying like, hey man, I stole your plays. I was stealing your plays during the season. Like, your red zone nonsense was unbelievable and I was doing it. And like, it tells you, like, I like to do it with new coaches, because like, I want to see if they're believable or not. I didn't believe in Zach Taylor. I didn't do it. I never have. I still don't. I think the dude's going to get fired. I think they're going to be the most overrated offense. But with Arthur Smith and that Falcons offense, they're going to dissect defenses in the red zone, and Kyle Pitts is going to be the crucial piece in that. Like, if he's the best, if he's scoring touchdowns, sign me up, because they're going to underprice him week 1. He's going to be super popular, but at the end of the day, with DFS, like, sometimes eating chalk's fine, fading chalk's cool, and being chalk blocked is even better, but. More importantly, like, you only need like 2 to 3 positions that are low up. You don't need your whole lineup. Don't even bother with that.
Right. You have to have the studs sometimes. That's what gets you the win. That's why you have studs. No, I love it. Okay, so we've talked a lot of DFS, which I love. It's a bread and butter. But you're wearing a Carolina Panthers shirt there. You got the Panthers behind you. We talked in the DMs. This isn't on the show sheet, Jamie. I'm jumping off script here. But I would love to hear kind of, you're from Florida. You know the Hurricanes. You know everybody down there. But you're a Panthers fan. How'd that come about? Well, what's going on with that?
So back when this guy over here, this little kid over here was, wearing his Steve Smith jersey. So I became a Panthers fan, and it's funny, my dad's a Falcons fan, first off. So we're in the same division, a little rivalry, whatever. See, he knows the story. I was about 5 years old, and the Jaguars were playing the Panthers, and I kept saying, go Cat Team. And that's why he's saying Cat Team. My dad didn't know who the hell I was talking about. And so essentially he was like, whoever wins the game, we're going to go ahead, and that's going to be your team. And I can only imagine if Amazon was back in the day, he would have put Jaguars gear in the shopping cart, because the Jaguars were up 17-0 at halftime. I was this close to getting Trevor Lawrence, is what I just found out. But more importantly, the Panthers came back, and Jake Delhomme threw a touchdown to Crowell, and that touchdown sealed the deal. They won the game. And that is how my Panthers fandom was just born. And Chris can attest that we've had a lot of arguments, and a lot of dumb arguments when I was younger, especially with the Panthers and Steve Smith. I was arguing to the death of me that Steve Smith was better than Calvin Johnson Jr. at one point. Not the best moment. I did say that he was going to finish with more receiving yards, and then Calvin retired. So I was right. I was correct. It's just not the way I thought. And no, the Panthers have been a great time. I've loved it. It's just been a fun time with us.
No, perfect. Well, that's a great intro into our Panthers themed and styled mailbag episode this week. Jamie got some questions from Panthers Nation, and we're going to hit you with a kind of more fast paced. We're into what we like to call. My computer keeps messing up, so I can't see it. Okay, yeah, I know it. It is the burning questions. So we're on the hot stove. Questions are burning. So you don't have to give as long an explanation. So Jamie's just going to hit you, and I'll hit you back and forth. We'll kind of go boom, 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 and whatever comes to the surface comes out.
Yep.
Okay, so this is interesting because I got this question in a DM before we even got you on the show with us, and I thought, like, and he said Jordan's joining, and I was like, this is perfect. Let him answer this question. So this comes to us from Andrew 5234. 5423. I'm apparently dyslexic. Sorry, Andrew. So Andrew wants to know, at their current ADPs, which Panthers wide receiver of Anderson, Moore, and Terrace Marshall currently holds the most value for you in redraft?
And let me share with everybody real quick before Jordan answers it. I'm looking at 444's ADP right now, and they kind of give a gamut of it. So they have DJ Moore at wide receiver 20. An underdog, he's getting drafted 42nd, CBS 55th, ESPN 53rd. He has kind of an average of the 503 draft selection in a 12-man league. And then we're going to scroll down to Robbie Anderson. I believe that Robbie Anderson is the 33rd wide receiver, so getting picked around 2 rounds later at the 705. And then Terrace Marshall, even further down this list, I'm guessing he might not even make the top 50. No, he does not. We're still there. He is 77, so kind of undrafted right now. How do you see them playing out this year, and what who do you like better at their ADP?
So Joe Brady came over, the LSU offense came over. DJ Moore got the Jamar Chase role. DJ Moore had 50 catches and still managed 1,100 yards, which is just astronomical numbers on yards a catch. Where 444 has him going, I'm having DJ Moore ahead of Robbie Anderson. But where I've been seeing him kind of creep up, if he gets in the wide receiver 16 range, Robbie Anderson's going to be the better value. But right now, DJ Moore, wide receiver 22, is stupid low for someone who, I know Sam Darnold's not the guy to believe in, but he's a upgrade down the field than Teddy Bridgewater. And DJ Moore has the Jamar Chase role. He's explosive plays. He's A.J. Brown-like in terms of what you're going to get. He has a high ceiling. I'm excited for DJ Moore this year.
I love it. Okay, so now here's my question, which I did not put on the show sheet. If you get the 101 this year in any of your redraft leagues, is there any other thought than Christian McCaffrey for you? And I mean, he was the consensus last year. He got hurt. He's kind of not the consensus this year, but I mean, he is, not a big deal, kind of a big deal. There he is not. But what do you say? Are you going to stick with that? Anybody else you would even consider drafting right now?
The only player I would even consider drafting outside of him is Alvin Kamara. But the reality is McCaffrey has over PPR specifically. I believe it's 75% of his games in PPR after his rookie year. Because his rookie year, I like to wipe out because that's not what he was behind Jonathan Stewart. He has like 75% of his games over 20 points. Dalvin Cook has like 42. Like, I get the Dalvin Cook type. I don't know. I don't get it. I'll be honest. I'm not like team Dalvin Cook is the lock number 2. I look at this and these guys can all go each way, but McCaffrey 101 for me, and it's not really close. I don't think anybody's in the stratosphere for PPR, especially with Drew Brees kind of retiring and Kamara losing that. Like, that's just going to be a tough situation for him to overcome.
Yeah, both suggesting Saquon. No, it just doesn't sit right with me, and I'm not against the Giants. I just want everybody to know also, this is for the record, if I criticize anybody's fantasy football team or their players or anybody, don't take it personal. I'm going to criticize every single team this year. That's what I do, folks. I'm an analyst. I analyze, right? So calm down. No one get upset. All I'm doing is saying that
that's about to subtweet me live here.
I'm just saying that I'm fading Saquon over CMC. I'm definitely going CMC. Not because I think Saquon sucks, but I don't trust Daniel Jones in that offense to give me what I need. I don't trust Joe Judge to give me what I need either. So those are the two people that are going to be in charge of getting the ball to Saquon. Those are like literally the guy who goes, let's make sure we give him the ball, and then the guy who hands him the ball or throws him the ball. I don't like either one of those guys compared to other positional opportunities around the league. I'd much rather have CMC, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry. I think those are my top 4, and then I go Saquon. I don't think he's going to get 125 targets this year. I just don't think he's going to get that. That's not going to happen, I don't think.
Yeah, no, Saquon Barkley coming off the injury and what everything is talked about, like, you just can't ignore it. You're not supposed to. It's Jason Garrett. If it was, if they had Sean Payton calling plays with the Giants, yeah,
Right.
no, I would totally believe in the Saquon. That's just I'm
Right.
not giving it. I'm not going ahead and buying into it when I don't think he can get 80 catch or 70 catches like he had or 95 or whatever he had his rookie year. He's going to be in the threshold of 45 to 60, and if he doesn't get the 60 plus, he's not the number one running back.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's what, and you don't need him there at the number one position. No, that's perfect. I like. All right. Those are all the kind of Panthers theme. We're gonna go through real quick. We got a couple ones that we kind of ask everybody who comes here about, and so I'll let Jamie jump in.
All right, so we talked some rookies, Jordan. We got a fun rookie class there. Who are some rookies you're targeting in best ball and redraft that you maybe haven't mentioned yet, and who's maybe one you're avoiding?
The rookie running back I'm targeting a lot is Najee Harris. The rookie running back that I'd say running back because receivers I don't really put high in best ball. I guess Jamar Chase. I'm not playing Jamar Chase because he's going way too high. But running backs, I don't buy the Michael Carter hype. I don't. I don't think he's going to win that job. He's been doing great in the practices and stuff, and maybe my mind changes. But as of right now, I think they're in a three-way split, and I'm actually buying Ty Johnson like 6 rounds later. So
I love that. I was picking him in 15 round, 16, 17 of all my best ball drafts before the draft, and I kind of cooled on it, but I like your thought. All right, so here's what I want to know too. When you go into your redraft for your let's say standard PPR league, what type of strategy
Standard PPR.
That's right. I meant not dynasty. Sorry, yeah. So it's PPR league, not a dynasty, not a tight end premium, not just PPR, right? What is your kind of preferred redraft strategy? Are you a zero RB, a zero wide receiver? Are you a value-based drafter? How do you attack your redrafts?
I like to usually kind of stick on the opposite end of what people are doing. I have a threshold where I'll go ahead and be like, okay, these 6 running backs I think can really be in the top 3. Because if you're not getting the top 3 running back in recent years, the 3 to 4 difference has just been astronomical some of these years. So I go, okay, I block it up, I tier it up. This past year, Devontae Adams was my wide receiver 1. So I'll take my wide receiver 1 starting 7. I'll probably take my wide receiver 2, probably 11 or 12, and that's kind of how I draft. I draft my first 4 picks. I don't want to mess up. That is not. I'm not doing it. I will try to draft the guy. I don't care if I'm going a running back or a tight end, even with Kelsey. Those dudes, I would rather take Kelsey and AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, those guys over your Antonio Gibsons and Austin Eckler is super high for me. So I'm trying to think Aaron Jones. I'm not taking the running back 11 over the wide receiver 1 for me.
No, I love that. Excellent.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm back and forth on that myself with the receiver depth, but it's such a tough one to pass by in any kind of these formats to pass by those guys just for positional need. So I'm with you on that one as well. All right, so Jordan, this is your chance to put your stamp on a guy, or two. Who are 1 or 2 players that you're actively targeting that you want on all of your teams in 2021, and then who's your total fade? Put your poop emoji on. So who's one that you're totally avoiding? That can be ADP, just overdrafted. You just don't like him to begin with, whatever.
For avoiding, I would probably go Stephon Diggs. His ADP is just way too high for my liking, and I see a big regression coming for the Bills. With the players, there's 2 players. I'll go with 3 just real quick. Quarterback, I'm picking Lamar Jackson. He's my QB1 by a decent margin. I think he's getting 1,000 rushing yards, and that's just going to be king in this type of format. Running back, Austin Eckler, he's my RB3 in PPR. And Chris said it. It's Antonio Brown. I really believe he's going to be a top tier player in fantasy this year. He's getting it all season with Brady, and he's going in round 10 right now. I texted him because Chris and I are in the same redraft league, and we usually do this thing where I'll like a guy and I'll be super excited about it, and then I'll mention it to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's funny. I was going to take him in round 6." And I'm like, "Oh, I was going to take him in round 7, so I'm not getting him." This is what happens every year. It's a fight to the death in my redraft leagues. Lamar Jackson's also probably going to go in like round 4, even though he usually goes in round 6. It sucks.
Now, I like that. That sounds like a very very contentious league. People are very vying for it. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Very cool. All right, so that was our that wasn't a hot stove. What are we on here now? My brain is definitely golfed out. That was our burning questions. Okay,
burning questions.
So yeah, that was it. You survived. I got to ask you. What's next for you, my friend? You've come on here. You probably can't get higher mountaintop wise than being on the Fantasy Football Hot Stove. So, how do you go down the mountain? What's the next, thing on your
already peaked?
Exactly. The next thing I actually have tomorrow with the Chalkball crew. We got Sam coming on. That's going to be a fun show, and pretty much I'm not going to be pushing out articles right now or doing a ton of redraft work because I'm kind of learning some different tools, Python, Photoshop, a few other things that I'm getting ready for the DFS season with. And DFS is where you'll see my content start to come out over and over and over again. You guys I'm working on some rebranding. The images will eventually get out there once we finalize them.
Oh, no, very, very,
Awesome.
very cool. Yeah, sorry, Jimmy, didn't mean to step on you there, brother.
Nope, you didn't. I was just praising him. Where can people find you in your work, Jordan?
Gridiron Ratings will be my writing and video work with the Rum Boys, and also Chalkblocked with Mr. Scott over here and Bo in the comments. And that's going to be a little fun one because I'm supposed to be Scott's savior here. I'm supposed to make it so he doesn't lose all his money to Bo, and instead he battles with me, and we take Bo's money this year. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get this going. Don't worry, Scott.
It sounds so great, man. I'm living the dream here, and even if I just believe it, it makes me feel better about my day. And so I'm not too proud either. I'll be honest with you. This is what Jordan mentioned earlier about kind of drawing from lots of different wells to get your water. I'm not too proud to go. Jordan's a sharp, and I want to get better, so I'm going to stick around and learn from him and talk with him and engage in conversation with him. So even if I don't win a bunch of money, I'm going to become a smarter, better fantasy football analyst, better just overall content producer. So appreciate you, Jordan, joining us over at Chalkblock, joining us tonight on the Fantasy Football Hot Stove. Please go check him out, Jordan Vanek DFS. That is JORD. I don't know the rest of it. Anyway, JORDAN VANEK DFS. You'll find him there. And you'll also find him in the underdog streets all the time, best ball drafting. It's kind of what we do almost every single day. The Thieves, if you don't know, shout out Thieves, love the Thieves. We're always just dropping, our best ball manias in there. We're just like, play with me. So please do come and play with me. It's a promo code Nimble. Play with Jordan. Jordan's on there too. Play with Jamie. Jamie plays as well. So we all love playing. Check us out over there at Underdog Fantasy. And then also do go patron Hotbox as well. You can get some good gear over Viridian Global, some food, do all that kind of stuff. And then we also have great, amazing content at Fan Team Advice. Jamie is one of our amazing writers. He writes for basketball, do you do baseball too, Jamie? I've
not had to do baseball. We have a good baseball crew right now that's churning out. We got Elone DFS. If you don't follow him, is writing our baseball stuff right now, and he does a great job. That's ELONE DFS. I'm doing basketball content to the very end, and once football season starts, I'll be very busy doing my game by game breakdown for DFS, and also 2 DFS articles and 2 DFS shows a week now for football diehards starting in the fall. And just a plug for our optimizer as well. That's going to be up and running. Our draft guide at Fan Team Advice is going to be up and running within a week. The projections are almost done, and the user interface is done. So we're almost ready to churn that out. And that's one that's constantly updated as the season, as the off season starts all the way through the playoffs. So money well spent. Not that we're
Big
not
time.
biased.
Well, I'm going to use that as well. It's a tool that I'm going to use this year along with Jordan, all the other tools, and I can't wait. Please do check out Jamie. I can't undersell him enough. JAC 3600, so 3600, JAC 3600 on Twitter. He is coming out almost daily or every other day with these amazing songs. He writes them. They're off of different Scott Fishbowl themed divisions. What do you have dropping tomorrow? I heard you and Bo, you guys were talking about it in the comments. I was getting a little jelly.
Very special Rolling Stones one dropping tomorrow, which, spoiler alert, Scott Fish himself is the subject of.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Please do check out Jamie's songs. They're awesome. I mean, that's the cool part about being a music teacher is that you can use that gift to bless us all. I got nothing. I can't sing. I'm not that attractive. All those things. It's not great. It's not great. I'm very jealous. I've got a good-looking guest in Jordan. I've got a musical sensation in Jamie. I mean, I shot a 125 today. It's not it's not going great for Scott over here, but I'll continue going on, and I think I'll try again. I'll try. No, I'm kidding. This has been great. Thank you for coming on, Jordan. I appreciate it. And do check him out. Check his workout. Check all of our workout. We're gonna be back next week. Do we know our guest next week yet, Jamie? Or are we still trying to figure that out?
No, I think we're open next week.
I like that. Excellent. We'll see if we can wrangle another guest. Thank you for coming on, Jordan.
Yeah,
I really,
thanks, Jordan.
really appreciate it. And I'm going to try, which I always do. I will see if I can do this well. I'm going to try to play the outro as we leave. We'll see if I can do it. Peace, everybody.